Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this February 19th, 2022. We've got a lot to talk about, folks, but before we get to there, we need to remind you it's being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Livestock interests across the entire western United States need to be prepared for severe cold and some snow. Anyone who has started calving or lambing operations need to be prepared for the coldest air of the season, especially for the northern and central Rockies, the northern and central high plains, as well as we're going to see some pretty cold air get into the Pacific Northwest and the Great Basin states, even California. We'll see below normal temperatures. The coldest air of the season will hit places like Montana, Wyoming, parts of Colorado, the Dakotas, and Nebraska very hard in the coming week. We could have many areas with 3 consecutive nights going below zero, and we could have some wind chills that go 20, 30 below zero or colder. Also, there's going to be occasional snow, and the entire week ahead is going to be colder than normal. The mountains will see significant snow, which is good news for the snowpack, but for some of you that are closer to or in and around the higher terrain of the northern and central Rockies, and really all of the mountains of the west, be ready for some snow. Now, temperatures are going to moderate some by next weekend, but as we peer into the first week of March, the first week of March is looking cold as well. So winter, not done, folks. Winter going to be making a bit of a comeback. Now, over the last week, we have seen better precipitation. Most of this has fallen in the form of snow, but this isn't a lot, but it's more than it's been lately, with the Pacific Northwest and parts of the central and northern Rockies getting some good moisture. The heavier moisture has been more towards the Midwest, and if you look at the anomaly, you can still see a lot of brown here along and west of the divide, while along and east of the divide, some patches of green in Montana, Colorado, and Wyoming, where there's been a little bit of moisture. Hopefully, and I think this will be the case, we're going to see this changing with a more wet pattern for the western United States in the coming week or two ahead. Drought monitor shows continued drought conditions across the west. Many areas are still in exceptional, extreme, or severe drought, although help is on the way over the next 4 to 6 weeks as it's looking right now, with the weather pattern in the west getting more busy. When you look at the monitor and the change over the past week, we can see that dryness has continued to grow a little bit in parts of South Dakota and Nebraska, parts of the Intermountain West, with really no big areas of green. But I think next week's map will look a little bit better, and the week after that as well, as the weather pattern gets more busy. Now, as we set the stage for what's coming, this is the weather map as it looks today, with the jet stream riding up into the Gulf of Alaska, then kind of moving west to east across the nation, which is a fairly mild pattern, and this is part of the problem. The forecast period here this weekend starts off pretty mild, relatively speaking, over most of the country, and especially the west, in fact, above normal temperatures. But this blue arrow here shows the cold Arctic air queued up to come south. And we're going to see Arctic air moving into Montana, eastern Washington and Oregon, panhandle of Idaho and North Dakota by the end of this weekend. And going forward, by Wednesday and Thursday of next week, the Arctic air gets pushed south. We'll see snow break out across the high Rockies and the plains. And the jet stream is really starting to make a dip, which will allow that Canadian air to funnel into the central and western areas of the United States. Now, by next weekend, the pattern goes more westerly again. And what will happen is this will bring moderating temperatures. But we are going to start to see more in the way of storminess in the early March, get a little bit further south, hoping that gets California back into the rain and mountain snow again. So if we were to rewind here, we're going to see this mild pattern this weekend, Arctic air come in next week with some snow, then by next weekend some moderating temperatures. But there's going to be a solid 4, maybe 5 days of very cold, snowy weather in the western United States. And this is what the precipitation outlook looks like between now and next Saturday. Heavy moisture in the southeastern United States. This long stretch of blue here is going to be significant snow. Then you can see some rains and snows coming in the Pacific Northwest. Some snow will fall in the Sierras. Look at this heavier snow near the Four Corners region and the mountains of Colorado, southern Utah, and southern Wyoming, as well as back up here as well. So this will be helping to boost the snowpack. And here it is. You can see the snowfall forecast is impressive over the next week. Look at these temperatures. Over the next 7 days, anywhere you see blue, green, or purple, the 7-day average of temperatures, this is where you take all 7 days, you add up the highs and lows, compare them to the averages. Look how cold it is for the next week. So stock growers, you need to be prepared. And you got some nights coming on up in many areas of the West, especially the central and northern Rockies and northern plains, where you see the green and the purples there, where severe cold and severe wind chills are going to be likely. Our next update will be the 26th. Have a good week ahead and stay warm and be ready for the cold.